Have you ever looked at someone and said you could spend your whole life with them? Some people may have different results of an answer from me, but I can simply look at the person and straight up smile and say, I have, and that person is myself. Self-love is best love, because I'm going to spend my whole life with myself. And when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel great. It took a long way to get there. I put that up on Snapchat with that one quote, but yeah, sorry. The quote that I found on Twitter, it was a tweet of someone put, have you ever looked at someone and said you could spend your whole life with them? The part where I said I have and that person is myself, so on and so forth, that was my own version of the quote. And it's true, because people come and go in your life, but at the end of the day, you have yourself, you have your own heart, you have your own body, you have your own face, and you gotta embrace it. You gotta love yourself. Like James Blunt song, Throwback from My Childhood, you're beautiful. I grew up with this song and I love it, and whenever I'm feeling low or down, I just listen to it and it gets me a feel-good vibe about myself. This video is going to be specifically on self-esteem, and I gotta tell you, I don't know about other girls my age. Well, I'm going to be 24 in May. I don't know the timeline if you guys, like, with the frame of your self-esteem, like when it's been high, when it's been low. For me, it's been different stages in my life. When I was a kid, I was confident. I knew who I was because I was a child then. So obviously, like, I had the world at my feet. I felt great about myself all the time. Even when when I was younger, in certain grades, there was always maybe 1, 2 girls in the class that would maybe bully me, whereas the rest were friends with me. I wouldn't let them get to me whatsoever. Words only hurt if you allow it to. So as a kid, I never felt defeated with myself. I knew who I was 100%. Because when you're a child, your mind is pure with good thoughts about yourself. It's pure about everything in general. So you don't really feel low about yourself then. Some people might not have thick skin as kids, and they might let being bullied get to them. For me, when I had my highs and lows with certain kids, I didn't let that to me. So that's the difference. Then, really, what started changing, like, when I was a child and when I was in my preteens, like, I felt really confident. There wasn't an ounce of insecurity in me. Because, let's face it, when I was a kid and preteen, I wasn't dealing with no relationships with guys. I wasn't dealing with body changes then. I wasn't dealing with my hormones, going through getting a period and all just yet. Well, I got my menstrual when I was 12, so that changed, obviously. But when you're really young like that, before you hit your teen years, you're not feeling low about yourself. For me, really, when I started getting real bad low self-esteem was when I was 15. My earlier years of my life, I didn't feel one bit of it. When I was 15, things started to change. Like, my hormones were all over the place because, I did feel I had the hormone imbalance, but then much later on, that was when I, realized I was bipolar, and also it didn't make my life easy whatsoever. So that definitely, triggered having, like, between PMS and time to time, and then between dealing with my emotional struggles. I had a lot of different low self-esteem problems. I didn't think I was pretty. I thought I was fat, even though people tell me I'm not fat at all. I felt it. I was confident about my height because I'm super tall and all that. Well, not gigantically tall, but 5'8.5", which is tall for women, and nice long legs and all that. But at the same time, like, I just was low self-esteem when it came to my weight. Because when I was younger, I was skinny, but then I've had my moments as I got older where I'd lose a lot of weight, gain a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. I like to eat a bit too much. But so there was that. And then there was low self-esteem, like, oh, I'm not pretty enough for a guy, I'm not good enough. I compared myself to a lot of different girls. I used to compare myself to models on social media, which I shouldn't have, but when you're younger, you get like that. You get yourself worked up over that. And social media really brought me down when I was a teenager, because when I was in my teen years, that was when I was homeschooled for high school, and I felt like at the time I missed out on a lot. Like, I'd see people on social media post about their proms and whatnot, and the realization came to me that I probably was never going to have a prom. And at the time, to me, for some reason, from when I was a kid and when I would see on like movies and TV shows, like how exciting prom looked and all that. And I had high hopes. I'm like, oh, my high school life's going to be great, especially my senior year. But then when I went through my, stuff I was going through mentally, and when I realized that it was too challenging to be in high school because of the emotional problems I was dealing with, I had to excuse myself from it, exclude myself from it all, and then be home instructed. And it was hard for me. So that definitely lowered my self esteem when I was a teenager. And feeling like hopeless also. I felt really, really hopeless about myself during that time period, so it wasn't easy. And comparing myself was a really big, big problem in my teen years. And I'd say, when was it that I really, really stopped? I guess I stopped really comparing myself once, trying to think. Well, 15, 16, 17, I think is still coexisted. Really, once it stopped was when I was like maybe about 19 or 20 years old, I say. That was when I really like grew more and I didn't feel the need to compare myself to other girls. Like, the way I look at it is I don't have to like feel insecure about other girls or put them down, because I'm not going to lie to you. When I was in my teen years and I would see pictures of other girls posted like online and stuff, and I would kind of like, not, I wouldn't comment hateful things, but I would think to myself hateful things because I was angry, because it would be, oh, this one has a bigger chest than me, or oh, this one has a bigger behind than me, or this and that. And you can't compare your body to other women, because obviously everyone's different, unique in their own way. And physical appearance is just a part of you, but it's not inside you. What matters is your heart and how you treat people, how you put other people's feelings first, and you have an act of selflessness. You respect yourself enough to not bring hate in other people's worlds. Because if you're bringing someone down, it's because you feel that low about yourself, that you feel the need to bring others down with yourself. And you shouldn't do that. If someone feels great about themselves, why would you verbally attack them for? Why would you say mean, hurtful stuff to them? And it takes a lot of courage to just say, you know what, it's not worth draining my energy on jealousy, feeling insecure. It's much better to hype women up. And I'm all about women empowerment 100%. I'm about supporting women of all ages, whether they're young teenagers or older, like my age range, or even older than that. Because we got to stand up as a community and help each other out. So when I was a teenager, I may have dealt with all that, but it's a normal feeling. You go through that stage in your life, most teenagers, where they have their self-doubt and insecurities, and they might be immature about it. But as you get older, you shake off those negative thoughts about yourself and you try to get a clearer perspective on everything. So yeah, mainly like, I have to say, like, once I hit like 20 years old, which that was in 2015, that was when I started to really applaud myself look wise, applaud myself personally, like inside me. Like, I felt really, really good about myself. And it felt really, really great, you know what I mean? Because like, even though I was like heartbroken about it at the time, ex I broke it off with, like months after that, it's like I glowed up from it and I got myself 100% over it, and I had a lot of self growth, and I did learn from the experience here and there. So I just was happy with my own social circle. I was happy with things that made me happy, even if it was a TV show I enjoyed a lot. Like, the world just made me feel, I felt a million times better about the world. I had a different outlook. And it feels really great when you get to that point in your life. Because I do notice a big um, difference between being in your 20s, roaring 20s as I call it, from a teenager. Roaring 20s, you're 100% more mature, whether you're a female or a male, you are definitely more mature and you see things with life a lot differently. And I definitely felt that way. So yeah, like I was really confident for a long period of time from when I was like, 20, which was 2015, 21, like in 2016. Really, the downfalls, like I have highs and lows, especially with my bipolar. There are times like I'm overly, like, not overly, I'm not going to say cocky or obnoxious. Like, there are times like I feel well balanced, confident in myself, and I have a really good self esteem, and I keep it in a clear, humble perspective. But then there are time periods, depending on what's going on in my life, where I feel low self-esteem and it comes crashing down on me. And then it reminds me back when I was a teenager all over again, how I felt, you know what I mean? So mainly like as I gotten older, like even into my 20s, really the only thing that makes me have self-doubts and low self-esteems is the guys I choose to get myself involved with, which the past two guys were disastrous. And I think that really like lowered my self-esteem 100%, and that can happen to a girl of any age. They get like that. Hell, it could happen to like an insecure sensitive guy too if they deal with bad relationships. It can make them have so much doubt and hatred towards themselves. Even though they're a great person, they feel like very low on themselves because they're in a relationship that doesn't make them feel good about themselves, which I'm going to explain next week in my toxic relationships about the effect of toxic relationships. But I'm connecting it with this too because of the whole low self-esteem thing. It's hard, for girls in general when they compare themselves to other girls where they wish they talked more sexier like other girls did, or they wish they had the bodies that other girls could flaunt on Instagram, you know, or, stuff like that could really affect them. But then when you have toxic relationships that you think that they're gonna like better make you feel better about yourself if you're low, but then it gets even worse. It escalates really badly downhill. Like, okay, in total, I've had 4 relationships with different guys. So there were 2 really good ones, which were like, in my teen years and stuff like that. Like, they were 2 good ones. And then the other 2, the last 2 recent ones, they were bad. Now, the first 2 didn't make me down myself. They didn't make me feel low about myself. I felt good when I would text them, see them. Like, it didn't, it felt like a good type of feeling. But then the last 2 guys, you would think that for me, instead of it being an upgrade, the first 2, like, they would have been like ultimate downgrades, rejects. And then as I gotten older, like, the characters I see in guys would have built up and I would have had from downgrade to upgrade. For me, it was like upgrade to downgrade, which is pretty twisted and not normal, but I guess that's just me, or maybe others could relate to it. I don't know. But, anyways, these guys really made me feel low about myself. The one guy I dated that I kind of rekindled for a few months from the end of last year of 2018 until like the beginning of 2019, I rekindled like a connection and even like got back together with him, like type of briefly type of thing. He was like he was the reason why I lost faith in relationships. He was the reason I didn't feel great or trust myself being in a relationship with a guy. He made me have doubts and a lot of trust issues too. And that could really trigger low self-esteem because if you have trust issues and don't trust the people around you, you start not trusting yourself either because you feel like, oh, I'm involving myself around toxic energy. I feel like a toxic person too. And then you have like all these negative judgmental thoughts inside you going through your head. And for me, that's what happened 100%, especially when I was with this guy. He really, like, you would, like, it's ironic because when you're like a teenage girl, sometimes, like, you get bullied by girls or girls are jealous of you, or vice versa, and they try to bring you down because they're envious of you and they secretly want to be you, so they bash you for their jealousy and for their wishful thinking they were you. But with guys, it's like they try to bring you down because they don't know how to love, they don't know how to treat and respect themselves, let alone respecting a woman. So, therefore, it's funny how roles could reverse from one gender to another gender like that. So, definitely, as I gotten older, guys have been my biggest downfall with my self esteem. I've come to realize that, like, guys give me like a lot of setbacks, especially the ones that I previously dated these last two times. They really triggered my self esteem to be extremely low. And you have to remove yourself from people or things that are going to get you upset or bring you down. It's not worth you lose yourself being in the wrong relationship. And I'm going to get into that whole thing with the toxic relationship segment I'm going to do next week. But yeah, so that's one part of having low self esteem, which has been my kind of issue lately because I was very confident in 2015 and 2016. Really, what brought me down was another ex boyfriend of mine, the last one the more recent, newer one, that's an ex. Like, he really brought me down in 2017 because I got depressed over him. And then after that, like, it's been like a roller coaster because, as you know, I did have a relapse in 2017. So I basically it's been a roller coaster with my emotions, really. Like, there are times I feel great about myself, times I don't feel great. When I used to have really, really low self esteem as a teenager, I used to think, oh, I need a guy to fix me. He will make me feel great about myself. Like, I used to be naive when I was a teenager, thinking that that would solve everything and solve my problems and make me feel beautiful about myself and good because I had a lot of guys throughout my life throw me compliments left and right saying, oh, you're so beautiful, blah, 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 and different flirtatious gestures like that. As I've gotten older, I realize I don't feel as great when guys tell me that. I take it with a grain of salt because I know there's lots of other beautiful women in the world, and I know lots of guys have dated a large amount of women. A lot of them are players. A lot of guys in their 20s just wants to fool around and have fun, that they don't take relationships seriously or women's feeling seriously. It takes them a long time to grow up. So as I've gotten older, I realize I can't depend on the guy to make me happy. I can't depend on relationships to make me happy. I can only make myself happy. I can only bring myself up. I can't let someone bring me down. I can't find fixation in certain things or people to make me feel great about myself. Only I can do that for myself. And that goes for anyone, for all you teenage girls out there. Like, if you had the mindset I did when I was 14 and 15 years old, thinking I need a boyfriend to complete me, worst mistake you could ever, ever, ever make. And I would tell my little girl cousins that who are teenagers now that as well, because they're really not worth you getting excited overly and then realizing how it was a complete opposite, that you thought you would feel great about yourself, but then you realize instead of them ruining your lipstick, they ruined your mascara because of all the tears you cried over them. And I've come to realize that, and, it took a lot of different emotional roller coasters, different turmoils in my life emotionally in my teen years, into experiences later into my more adult life in my 20s, to realize how much I do value myself. Even though I do have times my self esteem is like severely low, sometimes I snap myself out of it. I think about the good things about me. I don't just dwell on the negatives, because I used to dwell a lot about negativity, and I would just have like so much negative vibes. Like, I would say things like, oh, I feel like the black sheep in my family, they don't really love me. Like, that was a big part of a dialogue of my low self esteem, where I felt like maybe I am like a black sheep in my family, maybe I don't belong in my family, maybe I just belong in like a dark hole. But my family loves me and I know that, but my self-esteem, because it was so low in the past, I would think to myself, well, I feel like a burden because I'm bipolar. How can someone love me? How could even family members love me? I'm abnormal. I'm not like other family members who have a daughter or a granddaughter or a niece who they have like good chemical balances and I'm chemically imbalanced. So to me, like when I first got sick and diagnosed with bipolar, I really thought that I was going to lose family members of mine because I really honestly felt like they wouldn't give a shit about me anymore or love me. But then as I got older, I realized that wasn't the case because they love me unconditionally and they're always going to have my back and be there for me. And I'm lucky to have that type of family support and love and closeness like I do with my family. Because not everyone can say that, but I'm fortunate to. So, from my negative vibes when I was younger, like for example, feeling that way, feeling like I didn't belong in my family, I didn't feel like I belonged to my group of friends, I felt like I was worthless. I as I got older, that was the complete opposite change the mindset for me, and I realized that I deserve to be in the family I'm in. I deserve to be in the social circle of friends I'm in. I'm was meant to be in that type of closeness with my family. I was meant to be in that family's tree. I was meant to be in that social circle of friends because I'm unique and I'm a good person, and I shouldn't doubt myself any less for that. And I want all other, teenage girls or young adults, even if you're a male too, because I shouldn't just base this all on female, because I'm a woman, so I'm going to definitely talk about women problems more, but definitely same goes to guys too. Like you should never have self-doubt either in like when it comes to like your relationships with your family and friends because that's when you start doubting your connections with them, then you're doubting yourself too. You're putting yourself down, thinking you're not deserving of having good people in your life who support and love you, and that's the wrong way to view it. So yeah, those are good examples of like my low self-esteem. Definitely when I dated the two loser guys, I did. But even though that brought my low self-esteem down, at the same time it brought my self-esteem up because after letting the same flames of both of them burn me twice, each of them, when I recycled them again, instead of like throwing them completely in the trash, I took like paper out of the recycling bins and I just totally like through the garbage and just basically just let them back into my life again. Once you had like you can't change trash. Like once it's no good for you in the beginning, it's gonna stay not good for you. And I've come to realize that. Like I think to myself, okay, Alyssa, you're a big idiot. Because I was allowing former hurt and former hardships in my life that I didn't need anymore and aggravation. I let it resurface again. And I know the reason for that. Simply because I don't love myself enough to have bigger standards when it comes to relationships. And I know that for a fact and I own up to it. And I know a lot of females out there or guys out there too, they have those problems where their self-esteem is so incredibly low, they settle for relationships that bring them down and they just settle and they stay, even ones that stay in abusive relationships because they feel they deserve to get beaten up with their low self-esteem, you know what I mean? Like if they feel like shit about themselves and that's why they settle for people they know are no good for them because they feel they aren't good. And let me tell you, that is so not true. Anybody's worth being loved and cared for and nurtured for. Anybody deserves to get a good, successful career. Anybody deserves to make all the money they dream to make someday. Anybody deserves to someday have a family of their own and get happily married. Everyone out there deserves, whether you have a physical sickness or whether it's mental, you all deserve to get cured because we're all unique in different ways. Only if you have a cold heart, or you've done a lot of terrible things in the world, do you not deserve good karma to come your way? But all of that matters is inside the heart. Yeah, looks are beautiful to admire and stuff, but beauty fades when you're an old lady or old man. You get wrinkles on you, you know what I mean? Like your body, like, you start aching up too. But a beautiful heart's always going to be a beautiful heart. So whenever you're feeling down about yourself, remember that. Know that if you're a good, kind-hearted person and you brought a lot of joy into people's lives, believe that it's because you are joy in people's lives. And don't think for a second you're not. Because I felt that I was a burden. I felt like I was worthless. I felt like I brought nothing to the world, you know what I mean? I just thought that for the rest of my life I was going to just sit around feeling sorry for myself, feeling worthless, and feeling depressed. But that's not the case. I've grown to love myself, and I've realized that I need to put myself first above anything else. And it's really helped me come to those terms. I write every day good things that happen to me with my day, and it's really helpful. I advise anyone to do that because it puts a clear, positive perspective into your mind and life. Whether it's just writing positive things about yourself or writing dreams you aspire to happen for you in the next few days or weeks or months, write down goals for yourself, or write down like things that make you feel good about yourself. Write down the type of day you were having, how it made you feel, Write about the positives. And even if there's a negative, write down the negative and write down write the negative down, but then use reverse psychology and say, oh, from this negative I was able to turn it into a positive. Like, for example, if it's raining outside, you can just write down, oh, it's raining outside, I really hate the rain, it chippers down my mood a lot. But then you could write in the positive, oh, I was hoping that it would be sunny again, and then sure enough, the clouds gotten less darkening and the skies clear up, and now it's sunny, and now I'm going outside for a walk and it feels good. Simple things like that to just keep the positive vibes flowing. And I just really hope and pray that if you're struggling right now with your self-esteem, that one day that you will realize how loved you are. And the most important thing is self-love, and you need to feel that. You don't need validation from friends or significant others or even family members, because yeah, what they say to you feels good, but you need to feel that about yourself. And as long as you have bravery and courage in you, as long as you feel and know for yourself that you're intelligent, you're capable of changing the world, and you have a beautiful, kindred heart, that's what matters. And it feels good for me to be able to express all this on video to everyone. And I just really, really hope from the bottom of my heart that all those teenage, preteen girls out there, especially, not just adults my age who are 24, I'm going to be 24 in May, or who are in their mid-20s or 30s, but I'm saying especially for young girls, preteens, and teenagers. And this is a shout out to my little girl cousins too, who I admire and love dearly. Don't ever doubt yourself, and if you go to a dark place like me where you just have insecurity after insecurity each day, remember the advice I gave you in this video. You all are adored and loved, and you need to feel that with yourself. Self-love is the most beautiful, purest love you will ever have. So if anyone has any more questions for me on this topic, or anything else that needs advice, or you need a shoulder to lean on through emails, my email is bethenchangeyoucanbe@gmail.com. And there'll be another video next week. XOXO.